You remember the sound, not just the words, the tone. That smug, knowing tone people use when they think they've already predicted your ending. They didn't just doubt you, they enjoyed doubting you. Every smirk was a bet against you. Every chuckle was a receipt. They'd lean back in their chairs, shake their heads slowly, and offer advice disguised as mockery. Don't get your hopes up. That's harder than you think. You know, most people fail, right? They wanted you to believe their laughter was harmless. It wasn't. It was calculated. Because if they could get you to laugh along with them, you'd start believing the joke was you. They mistook your silence for surrender. They thought your patience was hesitation. They thought your restraint was weakness. But silence isn't surrender. It's strategy. Patience isn't hesitation. It's preparation. And restraint? That's just the art of picking the exact right moment to strike. So while they laughed, you studied. While they mocked, you moved. While they celebrated your inevitable failure, you were building something they couldn't see, couldn't measure, and could never stop. They thought they were watching you lose. They weren't watching at all. They were too busy enjoying the sound of their own voices to notice the storm forming right in front of them. And now, that smile they used to wear when your name came up, the one that said, "We know how this story ends," is gone. Replaced with a different look. A quieter look. The look people wear when they realize they bet against the wrong person and lost. Doubt is heavy. And it's even heavier when it comes from people you once thought would cheer for you. It starts quietly. They frame their disbelief as concern. They wrap their discouragement in realism. They shake their heads and call it just being honest. At first, you take it in. You nod. You smile like their words don't touch you. But you feel it. Every sentence is another stone in your pocket. And you carry it everywhere. You carry it into the late nights where you're the only one still working. You carry it into the mornings where your motivation is barely breathing. You carry it into the moments when you question yourself, not because of your own doubts, but because theirs have started to sound like your own voice. They don't offer to help. They don't offer solutions. They just stand there, measuring you with eyes that say, "We already know how this ends." Some of them laugh in your face. Others smile politely and wait for you to fail. Different methods, same result. And here's the thing. When you're surrounded by that kind of doubt, it's tempting to give them exactly what they expect. It's tempting to quit just so the noise stops. But instead, you listened. Not to the message, to the tone. You heard the enjoyment behind their words. You saw the satisfaction in their eyes when they pictured you folding. And in that moment, something sharp took root. You didn't know it yet, but every laugh, every sarcastic smirk, every whispered conversation about how you'd never make it was becoming fuel. You started keeping mental records. Not out of bitterness, but out of precision. A list of names. A list of faces. A list of moments you could replay in your head on the nights you felt yourself slowing down. Because deep down, you promised yourself one thing. One day they'd see you again, and the only sound in the room would be their silence. So you carried the weight. You carried it until it became muscle. Until the same load that once threatened to crush you started making you stronger. And when you finally learned how to use it, that weight wasn't holding you back anymore. It was the very thing pushing you forward. There's a moment when you stop wanting to prove them wrong, and you start knowing you will. You stop trying to convince them with words. You stop sharing your plans. You stop giving them a preview. You move in silence. You make the room wonder where you've gone. You stop showing up to every conversation and start showing up in results instead. It's not about revenge anymore. It's about inevitability. You're not asking, "What if I make it?" You're saying, "I will." And once you make that decision, everything changes. They used to talk over you. Now they watch their words. They used to underestimate you. Now they overthink their next move. They used to act like you were invisible. Now they feel your presence before you enter the room. Because you stopped playing small. You stopped making yourself easy to manage. You stopped explaining yourself to people who were never going to understand. You started stacking wins. Small ones at first, barely noticeable. Then bigger ones. Until one day they realize the person they laughed at is standing in a place they can't reach. You're not hiding anymore. You're not softening the edges. You're not pretending you're not dangerous. You've stepped into the light, and you're not asking who's ready for it. They see the moves now, the ones you used to make quietly. They feel the impact now, the one they once said you'd never have. And here's the beauty of it. You don't need to remind them they were wrong. They remember. Every time they see you win, the echo of their own laughter comes back to haunt them. Rule 1. Don't rush the victory lap. Let them sit with the reality before you speak. Rule 2. Never go back to explain. If they couldn't hear you then, they don't deserve the sound of your voice now. Rule 3. Keep building. Respect earned from one win fades if you stop moving. Rule 4. Control the table. If they want to talk, it happens on your terms. Rule 5. No second auditions. If they doubted you once, assume they'll doubt you again. Rule 6. Use their memory as momentum. Never forget how their laughter felt, not to dwell on it, but to make sure you never return to the version of you they thought was a joke. It happens slowly at first. They don't call it booing. They call it respecting your time. They call it wanting to work with you. They call it seeing your value. But you know the truth. You can see it in the way they hesitate now. You can hear it in the way they choose their words carefully. The same people who wouldn't listen to you before now ask for your advice. The same people who cut you out of conversations now can't move forward without your input. And you never asked for any of it. You didn't beg. You didn't chase. You didn't force it. You simply became undeniable. And now, when they kneel, when they finally acknowledge what they tried so hard not to see, you don't need to gloat. You don't need to humiliate them. You don't need to remind them of the past. Because every time they look at you, they remember exactly where they stood when they laughed. And now they have to live with the fact that they're standing somewhere far below you. This is the part they don't tell you about winning. How quiet it feels. How calm. Because victory isn't about noise anymore. It's about position. It's about knowing you've built something no one can take away. So when they kneel, whether it's literal or not, you stand tall. You don't shrink. You don't soften. You don't step off your ground to make them comfortable again. They had their chance. They chose mockery over faith. They chose doubt over belief. And now they choose silence. So you let them kneel. You let them sit in the reality they helped create. And you keep moving. Because the only thing more powerful than making them kneel is never needing them to stand again.